We're going to go ahead and get started. Again, my apologies, guys. We had some challenges there with the technical stuff, so we'll work our way through things here today. But I'm excited about today's meeting. Should be a good one. Excited about some of our guests as well. Just kind of real quick, a run through of everything. We've got the chat box. Hopefully everybody's got that figured out. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. And if you have anything that you'd like to add to the meeting, please use the chat box and connect with Lisa. That way Lisa can stay on top of that and then connect or pass that information on to myself so we can present it in our meeting. So with that, I do want to turn things over. I'm going to mute everybody so that we can kind of make this as practical as possible. But I'm also going to turn this over to our newest member of our Rotary Club. In fact, we had an induction electronically for the first time last week, and we were able to welcome Jenna Jensen as a new member of our club. And we also had orientation on Thursday that she was able to participate in. I'll highlight that here in a little bit further, but without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jenna for our inspiration pledge and four-way test.
Hello, thank you for the inspiration today. I want to, in light of Mother's Day weekend just happening, I want to take the opportunity to reflect on all the women in our lives and how they have impacted who we are today. Even in the time right now where we're doubling up duties and having to find ourselves in different roles of either being a mom, a wife, a teacher, all of the above, I just want to take that time to embrace that and the strength that women have, and they handle it with grit and grace. That is that. And now the Pledge Allegiance, and this is my son Wyatt, and he is a Boy Scout now, and he's gonna help me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then, the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Awesome, thanks Jenna, really appreciate that. As we get into kind of one of the fun parts of our meeting where we talk about our guests, we're always excited to have some of our international folks join us, and I apologize again. Hopefully we can get some of those folks caught up with us, but I do want to give a few minutes and go through our guests here real quick. Mitch, you want to say hey to everybody?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Michele, but everybody called me Mitch when I was in the States, and actually everybody still calls me Mitch here in Italy now. I was an exchange student in your community 12 years ago, so kind of a long time. And I was with Rona and Dean Boreal, and then Bill and Krisa DeGrave, which are both here. And also with Vicky and Ray Legorsky. And yeah, so now I'm I graduated from University of Milan in Italy as a communication designer, and I've been working for the university for a couple of years, and now I moved to a private company, a design studio, which makes interactive installations for both public and private entities. So think of museums or exhibitions. Yeah, that's it. And with this COVID situation, has been pretty hard for the northern part of Italy, especially where my family is from. Which is Bergamo, the Bergamo province, which was hit really hard. But now, luckily, all my family is well, and and also I'm able to work from home, so I didn't lose a job, which has not been the case for everybody, unfortunately. But yeah. And last thing, if I can say, I just want to say that I'm super grateful for the opportunity you gave me 12 years ago. You have been a great community and really helped me. And I mean, I was a really scared young boy when I arrived in the US, and in 1 year I grew incredibly. So thank you so much.
Mitch, thank you. Great to see you. I know a couple of your former host families are on the call today, and they're very excited to see you. And
Yes,
and
me too.
so, Bill, thanks for helping that come together today. We do have a few of our other exchange students on the phone again today that I'd like to highlight and have everybody say hello to again. Claudia, you want to start that off?
Yes, hi again, and thank you again for having me, like always. And I was really impressed by Mitch, what he said, because I was an exchange student in Wyoming like 2 years ago, and I really wish in 12 years to be able to still have that connection, because you know that you all really mean a lot to me. So I really hope that, and thank you again for having me.
Thanks, Claudia. Great seeing you. Let's see. Chloe, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody. I'm still in Casper this year, and I'm really good. I try to hang out with my friends for have a little fun. And last weekend was fun because it was Mother's Day, so we baked some cakes, and yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe. Great seeing you. Fran, it looks like you're joining us from down in Argentina. How are you?
I'm sorry, I just joined, but I didn't have the right link. Hi, Chris, hi, Bill. So I wanted to wish you all the mothers here. I hope you had a nice day yesterday. It is not like International Mother's Day. It wasn't Mother's Day here, but I did. I mean, I think that Lynette and Nina are not in here, but Chris, I hope you had a nice day yesterday as my former exchange mom. And yeah, hi all. I hope you're all doing well. I'm just here in quarantine in my bedroom. That's pretty much what I've been doing the last 52 days. So not much to say, but yeah, glad to see you all.
Well, thanks, Fran. Hopefully this helps a little bit, kind of get out of your quarantine for a few minutes electronically anyway. So good seeing you,
Yeah,
Fran.
for sure.
Alicia Lake, it looks like you were able to join us today.
Hello everyone. Thanks for having me again. Hope all is well with each and every one of you.
And Julie Aubrey, it looks like you got the right link too.
Yes, thank you. Hi everyone. I'm very grateful. I just actually got done with a mini service project. We dropped off another 40 masks to the Cradle Adoption Agency, and it was a very sweet and emotional exchange, and my heart's very full right now, so I'm excited to be surrounded by other fellow Rotarians. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us again, Julie. Over the past few weeks, you know, I've usually taken this time right now and had to go through and give you some type of an update, whether it was a tough one or a positive one, on our fellow Rotarian Mike Stepp. And I was able to get an email out last week, so I think everybody kind of knows a little bit about what's going on, but I am really excited to say Mike is able to join us today, along with his son, visiting Rotarian Ryan Stepp. And so I do want to turn things over to you, Mike, just for a few minutes. You've got a lot of people on this call and a lot of members of the Rotary family that have been thinking about you, so I know you wanted to be able to give them an update and say hey to everybody. So Mike?
Well, thanks, John. I'm overwhelmed by all the comments and the well wishes. And it took me an hour to go through all the get well cards that were on my desk when I got back Friday. I think most of the updates have been fairly accurate. I was hoping to get bypass surgery and I don't qualify. My heart's too weak for that. So it's medicine management, and I've got some good doctors and I think I'll do fine. Just have a lot better chance of living without surgery than with it. That's the way the ball bounces. And so I'm going to do everything they tell me, or try to, and and not screw up too much. That may require a change of personality, however, but I'll do my best. And they didn't have Jameson listed on my do's or don'ts, so once in a while. But anyway, that's the main thing, and I'll be able to come back to regular Rotary meetings whenever you guys are. And I'm actually at work anyway, so I can do almost anything that I did before, as long as I take all my pills and make all my doctor appointments. Had blood drawn again today. I didn't know I had that much blood in me, but it's been an experience. Terrific care here and in Denver at UC Health. We have some terrific nurses at this hospital now, and I was really pleased here, and good doctors here, and a couple of good doctors I picked up in Colorado as well now. They'll be on my team permanently. So that's really all I have to say, except it's great to be in Rotary and have the Rotary family behind me. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Great to see you. I know everybody's been thinking about you and sending well wishes your direction. So glad to see you on the call today. I think Bill DeGrave, would you like to introduce your guest, sir?
Thank you, John. I have my wife, who is the exchange mom to two of the students who are on. My wife, Krisa. Thanks.
Awesome. Welcome, Krisa. Great seeing you. All right. As we move through our agenda, I do appreciate the update, Mike. Thank you very much. That's great to hear. We'll continue to think about you for Family Rotary. I didn't really receive a whole lot else there from anybody else, but if you do have something that we need to announce or discuss for somebody, please send that out to Lisa so she can get it on to me, and we'll get that announcement made. Jenna touched on it, but I would say a belated Happy Mother's Day to all the moms on the call today. Great to have you, and we're all better for you. As we get into Rotarians of the Week, I alluded to it at the very beginning of the meeting. This past Thursday night, we had our first virtual orientation, and Mike Laugi hosted that and did a great job with that. And then Errol Miller also joined that just to kind of support our new members. And we were glad to go through orientation with both Jenna and Luke Gilliam. So that was great. Appreciate all of you guys for what you're doing and as Rotarians of the Week. And then I also have a bit of a fun one. I don't think he's on the call today. He's getting old enough. He might not figure out the technology, but Jason DeWitt turns 50 years old today, for those of you that don't know. So happy birthday to Jason if he's out there somewhere listening. A couple quick announcements. Do want to highlight one thing, and Julie, I may look to you for a little bit of help here. I hope everybody's seen the email, but June 20th through the 26th, Rotary is going to host an international electronic convention. Obviously, the international convention that was going to be in Hawaii has been canceled, but they're going to replace that with an electronic version. I'm not sure the details. I don't know what that exactly looks like, but Julie, if you've got anything from over there at the home base in Chicago, that'd be great if you want to share that.
Sure. I don't have too many updates other than they're still putting together the speakers. One thing that's in our favor is, first off, the convention's going to be free. So you don't have to worry about any kind of expense. I know, and I'm looking into this, I know some people were even, if there might be some prospective members or non-Rotarians who wanted to view it as well, I'll see if that's possible. I can't imagine why not. So that's, but yeah, the virtual convention, it's free. Because everyone is meeting online, we might have access to even more speakers. In the past, we've had one of my first conventions was in Toronto, and there was, First Lady Laura Bush, there was Justin Trudeau, there was the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, incredible speakers from all over the world in that setting. The fact that we're now all online, I imagine that the lineup is going to be pretty powerful. So any updates on the convention will be listed at riconvention.org. But as we learn more information, I'll be happy to share it with you. I'm very excited to see how this goes. I feel like even though we're not able to engage in person, I imagine that this is going to be a really amazing convention. And we're so accessible now being online. I think that there's going to be some really cool stuff that they're planning. I know President Mark Maloney was sad that we couldn't be in Honolulu together, but he gets some tricks up his sleeve, so stay tuned.
Awesome, Julie. Thank you very much for that. We'll look forward to getting some more information out. I also do want to share that we've heard from our district governor, Chris Woodruff, from down in Greeley, and obviously our district conference for Greeley this year is canceled. But I know he's going to host a digital virtual meeting of sorts as well for the district conference to be able to get all of our exchange students together, hopefully on the phone, and still do some type of a presentation about how the district performed this past year. And then there's some awards and things like that he wants to give out this year. So when we know some more information about that, we'll share that and let everybody know. And then just kind of a quick announcement. I know, Lisa, you've got something you want to say, but before we do that, hopefully folks have seen, we've gone through quite an arduous process over the past year or so, trying to figure out what our next project is going to be. And in one of our first electronic meetings, we presented what we've kind of come through on this whole thing with our bouldering park, and we're excited about that. But this past Tuesday, City Council, we were able to present to City Council, and they approved that plan and the project and are in full support of us moving forward. So that was kind of the last hurdle that we had really to get this going. So in June, we'll probably break ground and start work on the infrastructure that's going to be required for that. So if anybody's interested in joining that committee, certainly let me know. But when we have work days coming up and things like that, we'll share that information out so everybody can join in and be part of this exciting project also. So that was good news. And Lisa, you say you've got a announcement.
I have a quick announcement, yes. So some of you may know I was Chloe's second host mom. She was with Tasma first, and then she was at our house. And the Sunday before schools were closed because of COVID was her transfer day to the Schwann's home. So she is currently at Richard and Michelle Schwann's and in great hands. But because of the COVID and everything that's happening, she won't be doing that traditional Southwest tour of the United States. And so the fundraiser that we usually do to help her raise money for that is off. But in place of that, Michelle and I have been visiting, and so we're going to have a little party for Chloe. It is going to be Sunday, May 31st, and Michelle will be sending invitations out. So Michelle actually and Richard went to a party for a friend's graduation, and they had a sign-up list where they kept the maximum of 10 people at a time, and you had a time slot, and people went. And Michelle said she didn't know how that was going to work, but when she went, she said it was beautiful. It worked great. They could all see the graduate, give well wishes. So we're going to do something like that for Chloe. Again, Michelle will be sending invitations out. The date is May 31st. It's going to be between 1 and 5:30. And at that time, Chloe will have a little slideshow for the attendees. We may also do something like that as a meeting before she leaves. We certainly want to have the opportunity to find out what she's experienced and how she's grown while in Casper. But kind of mark your calendars, look for the invite from the Schwanns, and we hope to see you there on May 31st. We want to celebrate Chloe.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that very much. That's great to hear, and we do want to support Chloe. It's definitely been an interesting and I'm sure a trying year for her. So Chloe, we're here for you, and we'll continue to try to support everything we can to help you out with your exchange while you're here.
Thank you.
I also did, and I just noticed, I want to acknowledge Senator Barrasso is on the phone. Senator, thanks for joining us. Do you have anything you want to share with the group today?
Well, it's really great to see Mike step back, and very nice to see that front page story with Ryan's picture on the paper with that the paycheck protection. loan. And if there's anybody still having any trouble with getting those, call my office today. We want to make sure we these small business loans out all around Wyoming. There's been about $1 billion loaned out to over 11,000 small businesses. And what you're going to do for Chloe is just a terrific idea. We, this past weekend, we have a young lady that I'd nominated to the Air Force Academy, Natrona County High School graduate, Lauren Blackwelder. And what's happened is no party for her, no graduation. So the Patriot Guard, the guys that are Vietnam veterans, so many of them on their motorcycles, we had about 50 motorcycles outside her house. And I was there just to give her the thumbs up as she heads off to the Air Force Academy. And the more that we can do like that, I mean, it's kind of the Rotary way, the Wyoming way, to our graduates who are going to be leaving. And then, of course, we want them to come back and live and raise a family in Casper and Wyoming in the future. But it was just really a good turnout for a wonderful young woman who's going to represent us all very, very well at the Air Force Academy. So, John, thanks for your leadership. Thanks for giving me a second to speak.
Anytime, Senator. Thank you, and safe travels with all you got going on.
Thanks.
Okay, with that, again, we'll try and get the communication figured out a little bit better for next week and have hopefully fewer less hiccups, but we'll see. With that, I do still thank everybody for hanging in there and putting up with the technology and working our way through stuff. So Lisa, we're at that time of our meeting where we can check out our program. So I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our speaker.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So today's speaker is not a native of Casper or from Wyoming. In fact, she's from Norfolk, Nebraska. She moved to Casper in 2015, and she came here as the CEO of Visit Casper. She is a certified destination management executive, which from what I understand is the highest level of achievement an individual can have in the tourism industry. Like nothing but the best for Casper, right? According to her bio on the Visit Casper website, since she moved to Casper, she has fallen in love both with the people of Casper and with the incredible sense of community that we have here. She is a people person. If you've met her at all, and most of you have, you know that that is just the truth. So it stands to reason that one of her favorite parts of her job is that she continually forms strategic partnerships, both with people and with organizations. And that she also enjoys working together to come up with creative solutions for impossible problems. So boy, has she been put to the test recently because we faced some impossible problems. She is a Leadership Wyoming graduate, I believe from the class of 2018. You'll have to correct me on that in a minute if I'm wrong. But in February of 2019, she was selected to serve on the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners to fill a vacancy. When she's not at work with Visit Casper or with the county commissioners, she loves to run. She likes to read, preferably on the beach. That's my background screen. That's for you, Brooke. And she's also always planning a next great adventure. So Rotarians, please help me welcome Brook Kaufman.
I couldn't show the video of my face while Lisa was doing that because it's so weird when somebody gives you all those kudos and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with my face while you're doing that? So I just want to say a couple things. Senator Barrasso, I'm so glad you could make the call. Mike Stepp, it was an honor and a privilege to see you today as well. I'm really happy to see you in the flesh. And then also it was really neat. Rotary just does such a great job with your international students. So I really feel like I'm among Casper's best of the best today. So thank you all very much. Before I get started, we did create some Zoom backgrounds that help showcase our beautiful destination. So some of you may know this, many of you may not, but right now as they're measuring traveler sentiment across the US, most travelers right now are saying two things. Number one, they want to go to a beach. And number two, they want to go to a rural destination. So let's get the beach out and let's start pushing Wyoming so that we can attract visitors when the time comes. But Lisa, I do love the ocean in the background, so thank you very much. So I know that a lunchtime speaker is not always, you know, the most amazing thing or a way to spend your time. So I am going to try to keep this super relevant to you, and I'm also going to make sure that it's short. For weeks now, 6 or 7 weeks, we've been having calls with the hotel industry every week. So hotels, restaurants, some of our attractions, giving them updates on what's going on in tourism in Natrona County in real time. So we often start by sharing what's going on domestically in tourism so that we can kind of see what American travelers are thinking and feeling. And then I spend a few minutes bringing it a little bit closer to home so that you guys can get the picture of what's going on in our local visitor economy. And then today, the reason I'm super excited to be your guest is just 10 short days ago, we were able to get economic impact numbers of tourism from 2019 right here in our backyard. And I think you're going to be as impressed as I'm going to be to share them with you. So we had a record year in 2019 for tourism. So I'm just going to spend the next few minutes talking about traveler sentiment across the US and kind of what's going on as it relates to COVID and the impact of that. So the neat part is many of you will remember state basketball was canceled in the middle of March, and we started to see a decline in occupancy and things started to feel, I guess there was a lot of dis-ease in the market. Things felt very, thank you, Lisa, very unsure. And so as we watched that across the US, obviously that was the same. So probably 2 weeks ago was the first time we started to see an ever so slight pivot in traveler sentiment about those who are a little bit more open to the idea of moving around the US than they were when COVID started. So I just want to share personal concern about contracting the virus. Right now, this is, again, keep in mind the national numbers are the lowest that they've been since the middle of March. Right now, that number is 6.6 out of 10. Last week was the first time that they split that out by sex, so probably no surprise, but women are a little bit more concerned about contracting the virus still at this point than men. 30.6% of American travelers now feel more comfortable going out into their community and undertaking activities. So even from our office's perspective, as we start to think about when is an appropriate time for visitors to come, obviously, first and foremost, it's very important for the people who live here to get comfortable being here and being out in public. So obviously lift on the restaurant regulations on Friday, also that 14-day quarantine for visitors was released from the governor as well. So we're in a better position, and I think we're starting to definitely see movement in Casper that we haven't seen maybe in the last 6 or 7 weeks. So this is really interesting. In part of this research that they do, they monitor how they feel about safety, how they feel about their money, how they feel about what's going on nationally. So right now, there's still a high concern about the impact of the coronavirus on someone's personal finances. So last week that came in at a 6.6 out of 10. So obviously as America, we're still worried about how this is going to impact our personal finance. But I think the thing that's more interesting to me is there are 8 out of 10 people are hugely concerned about our national economy and how we recover from this as well. So yes, we're concerned about we're still getting sick. We're concerned about being out in public. Those numbers are changing, but there's an overall sentiment to the US of, hey, not sure how this is going to impact us, but it certainly is. So one of the things that we're measuring is traveler sentiment and when people are going to be ready on the move again. So obviously surveys are going out weekly, but one of the things that we gleaned insight into last week is when somebody is ready to travel again, how far will they travel, right? So on average, the first road trip for people is slated to be around 680 miles. The neat part about where we are in Wyoming is that we're geographically not dead center of the US, but we're in good shape. And also we've got a national park in there. Parks are still closed, and obviously that's going to be an impact, but we know that we're in a really good radius for people who want to be on the move or when they're ready to be for that first road trip when the time comes. So let's talk about airplane travel. So Glenn Januska is usually on my Wednesday calls with our industry, and I always hate to tell him these numbers, darn it. And it's we're seeing slight improvement, but over half of Americans right now still feel like it's too risky to travel on airplane. 42.8% are saying that they will not get on an airplane until 2021. So what we're preparing for as an industry is a lot of drive market when the time comes. So I think first what we'll see is visiting friends and family. Then we'll start seeing some regional tourism, and then it will grow from there. We're not expecting a very strong rebound on international travel, which for us being on the route to Yellowstone is going to be, we'll see those numbers show up. It'll be a little bit difficult because that is one of the top reasons that people do come through our destination. So this is going to be an interesting fact too, and we're working with our industry partners. There's going to be some shaming that's going to happen from American travelers as we find our way through this. 63.8% of them say that they would be likely to withhold business from people who do not give them a level of confidence that they value their health and safety. So in working with a lot of our hotel partners, obviously those corporate flags have standards. So some of you have seen that Hilton just formed a strategic partnership with Lysol. I think our industry really wants to be progressive and pioneering in this space, understanding it's going to be a big dang deal. And for those of you who were out this weekend when you went to the restaurant for the first time, I bet that was on your mind too. So we're really going to, as a community, have to educate and communicate what we're doing to keep people when they come here safe. Okay. This one's really interesting too, and we're watching this sentiment because one of the first pieces for us as we start to see our economy on the move is we want to encourage our residents to invite friends and family. It's a huge reason people come to Casper, and it's going to be important as we start to see recovery in our local economy and in our visitor economy. So right now, just over 35% of American travelers say that they're comfortable with their home state reopening. 60.4% of them are not ready to welcome visitors. So we're also doing this survey locally so we can measure that. But specifically in my office, it doesn't feel like it's a great time to just put out a bunch of calls to action that say, come to Wyoming, when a lot of the states around us still have restrictions. And really the sentiment isn't that strong that we're ready for that, right? We're just starting to be ready to be out and on the move. So that kind of tells you what's going on globally. The good part is people still miss travel. So I think it's something that we can, I don't want to say I can guarantee we'll come back, but I think I feel very confident that it will. Right now, over 70% of people say their heart is breaking that they can't travel. So we're very hopeful as things start to loosen up that that's one of the things we're going to start to see. So let's talk about Casper and Natrona County for just a couple minutes. Going into this, for years and years, we've bought occupancy reports by the month. So we're always able to look back and say, great, in January, we were at 38%. In July, we were at 67%. When COVID hit, we transferred or switched over to weekly occupancy reports so we could measure as close as we could in real time to what's going on in our hotels and people are coming and what they're spending. So I'm going to reference, I feel like that we saw the real shift when the state basketball tournament was canceled in the middle of March. Going into that tournament, we were at around 49% occupancy. So that means out of all the hotel rooms in the market, almost 50% of them were sold going into that tournament. And keep in mind, that's March, and that's a tough month from a weather perspective. But the rate they were getting for those rooms was over $90 a night, okay? So that's called ADR, average daily rate, and we're gonna talk about this for just a second. So as we started to watch the trends go down week by week, the first week it fell just a little bit, and then the second and the third. But for most of the month of April, we were right at around the 20% range. So some of you were on the call that some of our hoteliers are starting to bring back all of their staff full time, but we haven't seen a huge uptick. Some of our moderate to higher end properties are seeing 23, 24% right now. But across the board, we're at 20. And I will tell you that that number sounds low, but when you look at our peer group across the United States, we're faring very well to be at that 20%. They predict national occupancy for this year to be at around 38%. So we're not going to see an outrageous growth in that, but I feel really good that right now we're stable. And I would predict as we go into our summer months, which are typically stronger and Yellowstone opens, we are going to see more people on the move. So around that 28% or 20% range. And then the average daily rate is around $68. So you can see the decrease in the dollar value that they're getting for those room nights as well. One of the things that we're also monitoring, and I know many of you are business owners on this call, for the first 6 or 7 weeks that we were in COVID, we were really, people were using our website for emergency response. So some of our top pages on the site at that time where we launched a COVID response page, which held information and restrictions from the governor's office, what's going on with campgrounds, things like that. So that was always at the top, along with the job board that we launched, which was in real time, hoping to help displaced workers in the hospitality industry. You know, Albertsons was always hiring, Walmart's been hiring, just helping them find work immediately. And then the last thing was the Cowboy Curbside. So how do we help, you know, lift up that restaurant economy while they're not able to be open for business? So for the last month and a half, those have been in our top 5. The last couple of weeks are the first time that we've seen a little bit of a shift back to normal. So not a surprise for a lot of people on this call, Yellowstone is a big driver. 28% of our traffic comes from Yellowstone and Teton National Park. They're on their way. That's now our top page on our website. Obviously, homepage is also important. We're still seeing some restaurant stuff, which we think will continue to lessen now that the restaurants are open. So starting to feel a little bit more normal than what maybe things have been in the last few weeks. The last thing I want to share with you before I go to my presentation is in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development or Advanced Casper, and the Downtown Development Authority. 3 or 4 weeks ago, we launched a business impact survey for businesses who are in Natrona County. So there's a lot of national studies going on where everybody can participate, but we didn't feel like we had a real good tool to measure what was happening right here in our own backyard. So we still do those surveys every week. It's very important that we have a high level of participation so that we can use these as guideposts. So if you want the results to the survey, you have to participate in the survey. So if you do want to participate, it goes out today. You can email me, Brook at visitcasper.com, and I'd love to get it to you. We'd like to get you in the queue. We're starting to pivot what we're asking because it's less about what's your response as things start to open. It's more like, how are you seeing the world and what are your plans as we move forward? So couple things from that. Good news is 44% of people last week who responded to the survey said they would be comfortable attending a large event immediately. That really surprised us. We thought that that number would be significantly lower, but people are definitely showing indication that they are ready to be out and with others. And then 65% said they're likely to invite their friends or relatives in the next 3 to 6 months. So it's good information like that. We would love to share it with you. So I know that I'm long-winded today. Bear with me. I'm going to try to share my screen. I'm very bad at this. But I just want to spend a couple minutes and really celebrate the power of the tourism industry right here in our own backyard. So energy obviously is a huge driver in our economy, and there's no doubt about that. But I think sometimes tourism gets overshadowed by what's going on in the energy industry. And what I've appreciated so much is that it continues to be a real strong backfill for the energy industry. So you're going to see that it's been a consistent employer earnings. It generates sales tax collections for city and county. So I'm having a hard time. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, I see John giving me a thumbs up. So every year I usually come in front of your group and do this in person, and we get to celebrate and share the good news of this. So this is a pared down version of what you would see if I was standing in front of the room with you guys today. So this, I'm super excited to share this number. Last year in Natrona County, we welcomed 961,000 visitors. So to put that in context, it's about 100,000 people more than in 2018 and around 100,000 people more than what we welcomed the year that we held the total solar eclipse. So it was a banner year. I'm going to be honest, our office was secretly shooting for 1 million. My gosh, we got close. So evidence for sure that the tourism economy in 2019 was alive and well here. So I'm sharing this, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but this is a heat map. So I want to make a note. This was in March of 2020. Okay, so we're in the thick of half of the month is we're thick in COVID, and we start seeing restrictions all over the United States of people like they should be sheltering in place. This is a heat map of where visitors came from as they went through our market in March of 2020. So one of the things is when we work with research companies to help gather information about the, what's going on in tourism in our space, we hear very consistently that we are blessed with our geography. So we see so many more people go through here because we're along I-25 and we are on the way to Yellowstone. So this is where people came from in March of 2020. It does not mean they stayed the night. It means that they were in our market for 15 minutes or more, which allowed us to ping their cell phone. So if you're wondering how we get that data, it gets a little spooky, but happy to have an offline conversation about how we track your behavior. Those visitors, those 961,000 visitors spent over $330 million with us. And that's on every category you can imagine. It's in restaurants, it's in bars, it's in hotels, attractions, transportation, entertainment, recreation. Every segment of an economy where they can spend money is what gets measured in this. We have not broke 330 million. We haven't broke 300 million since 2013. So again, a super robust year in tourism, and a lot of that is thank you for all of your work as we welcome those visitors, because we're making this a great place for them to stop and stay and spend some money. Some of you may know Morris Carter. We sure like that picture of him and his wagon tours that he does. So you're going to see this slide in a minute. Last year was just over 2,600 people had jobs here because of that sector. If you've heard me speak before, I'm like a broken record. Tourism has been a stable employer in Natrona County since we started measuring employment. So I want to share that. That's why I feel so strongly that it can be a very strong backfill, especially as we come out of COVID, to see where we're going to stand from an energy perspective in our community. So this is a picture from the eclipse, and it's not very often you see sheriffs and PD hang out together, but obviously they were celebrating that we had no mayhem around the eclipse, which is great. But $16.4 million in taxes, and that's one of the reasons communities compete so much for tourists, is it's very competitive because the money that they leave in a community generates sales tax that does not come from residents, that in turn is used to provide basic services, whether that's fire, PD, they're mowing your parks, they're making sure your trash gets picked up. We all know the value of that green or those new dollars in our economy. So this was almost $2 million higher in 2019 than it was in 18. So I think I'll call the chairman of the commission, Ann Carter, and let him know that tourism's doing its job over here in Natrona County. So I'm also excited to share this. Many of you know, some of you don't. We are funded by a 4% statewide lodge, or 4% countywide lodging tax that you vote on every 4 years. So we were on the ballot in 2018. We passed at the highest percentage rate that there's ever been. So we were just over 77%. 2019, that calendar year, it was the first time we had ever broken $2 million in tourism that allows us to reinvest in marketing this place to continue to drive tourists. So it was a big year all the way around. If you take that 16.4 million that we talked about from a sales tax perspective, and you said, we're going to take tourists out, every household in the county would have to write a check for $508 to make up those sales tax collections. So it's really working too to help us all save money on our taxes, and we continue to enjoy some of the quality of life things that are provided. Some of you are familiar, we have a very generous board of directors at Visit Casper, so we usually give somewhere between $120,000 and $150,000 in grants every year. This is where we landed last year. It's events like CNFR. We do some nice things with the Nicolason, Wyoming Amateur Wrestling Association, the fairgrounds. So that's where we landed in 2019. We're very hopeful that we can maintain some integrity in our grant line item going into this year as well. So this is the part that I want to share, and for those of you I'm boring, I promise we'll burn through this, but it's really important. I don't often share these numbers, but this is market occupancy in Natrona County for the last, I just put everybody's face over the numbers, for 11 years. So you can see in 2019, we did not have the highest occupancy we've had, but in 2014, that 13-14 time period, that's when we saw some new properties come online. So a very healthy lodging market is around 60%. A lodging market where they start building hotels is 70%. So you can see, you could look at all of our trend lines and look at the year that hotels were built here, and you'll see a direct correlation. So even though it wasn't the highest percentage for us in occupancy, the reason that where we made up the difference was the average daily rate. So you can see the growth in the last 11 years. The average hotel room was selling for $73 or $74 in 2018. And you can see that just below that $90 mark. So that's again an average. So some of our hotels, they're at $170 a night. Some of them are at $89 a night. So it really runs the range, but that's the average for where we are. These are lodging tax collections. So I just wanted to show largest year on record. You'll see the jump here from 14 to 15. That was the year that the voters very generously approved to go from 3% lodging tax on rooms to 4%. So that was the shift in that. And then you can see many of you were here when it felt like the bottom fell out at the end of 15 and early 16. So you can see that reflected in those numbers as well. So this quickly is just a chart of spending. So when I shared that $331 million, and again, we hadn't seen that since this one shows in 14, but 2013. So this is the slide I was bragging about. It's been a very stable employer since 2014. So it's a good story to tell. We're very excited and passionate about tourism. We believe it can be one of the strong diversifiers as we start to bring our Wyoming economy back. So again, these are taxes generated. So we shared that $16.4 million number. So let's talk quickly. What does my office do? Some people are like, and I saw Aaron Morgan on here, I think. Some people think we're the chamber. So our job is to drive economic impact through visitation. So we're hugely focused on bringing visitors here to work, to play, to visit family, and leave some of their money here so that we can help offset some of our costs and drive our quality of life. So how do we do that? Well, we have a very robust PR program. So we work with an agency out of Montana. I was waiting for all these logos to pop up, but they're not coming. It may take a minute to populate. Okay. So while that's coming back up, you guys just got to see the rest of the presentation. Thank you for your patience. So let's just talk about PR quickly as we're waiting for this. Last year, let me find my slide here. In 2019, our media value was $1.69 million, and we reached over 106 million people. So that means that we're almost able to double what we would have to spend. So my budget, we'd have to almost double that to get that reach from that PR perspective. Some neat things though, the top placements in 2019 were American Angler, Seattle Refined, 5280, Outside Magazine. We were in Newsweek and also Newsweek Japan, MSN, and Parade.com. So we worked that angle really strongly and strategically to help, in addition to what we can pay for, how do we get people to write about Casper in a way that makes people want to visit? Okay, so I also, about marketing. So some of you have seen, last year was the first time in the history since I've been here that we've launched a very stable and robust multi-platform campaign. So when you see Visit Casper now out in the world, you will see us as the one and only. And we are the only Casper in all of the world, if you can believe that. And it took us a long time to get to that. But there's a lot of things that make this place neat or unique. Like the outdoor access that we have 10 minutes from town is certainly being one of them. So we launched the one and only campaign. We have very aggressive marketing around Yellowstone. We have it broken out by segment. A lot of you have seen some of our fishing work in the past, but that's one of our top priorities in this office as well. And then we also attend 8 to 10 trade shows a year. So people always ask, well, how do you bring business to Casper? How does somebody with a meeting like Women on Wheels or I'm trying to think of another one that we just sold to. How do people learn about Casper and say, yeah, I want to bring my convention here? We do that by speed dating at trade shows across the US. So many of you know Luke, he is a member of your club. Luke is our top sales dog. And as soon as we can get him out of the office and back onto the show floor, we're definitely excited to do that. But I wanted to share that too, because often that's a question that we have. So you have about 30 seconds more of me. How can you impact tourism? The first thing that we're going to see coming out of this is that people are ready to invite their friends and family to visit. It is a very strong segment for us in Casper anyway. It drives visitation very consistently. So when your family is ready to be on the move or have a family reunion or celebrate how awesome you are, make sure you do it in Casper. That's the first thing. Even if they're not staying in hotels, you're probably going out to eat, you're probably hitting some of our attractions and enjoying some of our outdoor amenities. It's going to be critical for us as we come out of this. Many of you know, and I know Lisa and the entire library are certified. 3 years ago, before the eclipse, my board of directors sat and thought, oh my gosh, we're going to recognize, or we're going to welcome tens of thousands of people to Casper. Like, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to be ready? And this is going to be outrageous and really overwhelming. So one of our solutions for that was we brought the Certified Tourism Ambassador Training Program to Casper. We are the only community in the state of Wyoming that offers it, but we train frontline personnel, people who interact with residents and visitors, on the value of tourism and the importance of their jobs, and a little bit on customer service, because if we have people buy one more bottle of water or buy one more gallon of gas or stay a night, it all helps, right? We're all impacting our economy in a very positive way. So our next class is in July. We've been on hold for a little bit, but we look forward to getting back to that. The next piece is, and you guys, I know probably some of you remember Ryan Hauk, and we will be out in the market with this again. If you are a member of an association or a group who does meet, it's really important that we at every opportunity can help welcome those groups to our community. So meetings are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to our local community every year. So that's another way that we can help drive tourism and stay involved and help drive our economy forward. The other thing is advocate. So right now, our budget situation in the state of Wyoming is going to look markedly different. Obviously you have heard that they're holding special sessions and they're going to have to make some really tough decisions. And I think one of the things that we keep hearing from American travelers is, yes, they want beach destinations, but yes, they want rural destinations and wide open spaces as well. So I don't think we've ever been better poised to welcome visitors to our destination than we are right now, but that's going to take work and a continued awareness with all of our electeds, whether that's at the local level or at the state level. So if you are an ambassador for tourism, we certainly would love to help have your voice participate with ours as we continue to move those things forward. So this is, I have last slide and one really cool video to share that's about 90 seconds and then I'm done. So people are like, what's coming, Brooke, or what's next, or what are you doing in your office, or how are you predicting? So I just thought I would share what I see coming up in 2020 based on some of the things that we're looking at and the research that we're buying and the things that we have access to. Friends and family is going to be a big one right out of the gate. That's going to be the first level when tourism comes back, is it's going to be friends and family. From there, and I've mentioned this earlier, we're going to start seeing probably some in-state promotion and specifically some road trip stuff. So Wyoming is well poised. We've been part of the All-American or Great American Road Trip for a very long time. And so we definitely want to be able to take advantage of that as people will start to be on the move. I mentioned that they're predicting a 38% occupancy across the US in hotel rooms. I think we're on the phone with our hoteliers every week, and we're predicting that we're going to be higher than that. Not much, but we'll be higher than that. And part of that is coming from, and this is a neat piece of information, and I hope you leave this presentation a little inspired by it. We did have business cancel, no doubt about it. But one of the things that's really going to help us this fall and going into early spring is we had a tremendous amount of business only postpone. So a lot of the meetings and conferences at our facilities, many of them have been rescheduled for the fall. And also you're probably watching the event center, same thing. So yes, they've had some cancellations, but we're really looking strong for fall and into spring of next year, just based on some of those things. So many of you know, like CNFR, they're coming back. AOPA was a huge win for our group, which is the fly-in that we were hosting at the airport. They just bumped by a year. So we didn't lose as much business as we could have. And I think that's going to lend to some higher occupancy here. And then lastly, and I've said this too, Casper and Wyoming really stand to benefit as people want to be on the move again, how they feel, what they view as safe, their desire for open spaces, and just like to be less people and to be in the open is really going to benefit the state. So we will not stop marketing. We will not stop working to help drive that growth in our visitor economy, because we know now is probably the most important time that we could be marketing. So I want to share with you, we've been doing some videos, and if we would have been in person, this would have been really powerful, but we've worked on some video assets while we've been at this. And one of the things that I want to share is the anthem video that was released on social media last week. So this really was targeted towards our residents. It's about community pride and who we are, and the fact that we're coming back stronger, and we're better together. We're in it together, and we're better together. So I just want to end with this, and then if it's appropriate, I'll answer questions that you might have. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation.
That is a phenomenal video, Brooke. I will just say, for those of you who haven't seen that online, I was on Facebook and it popped up. I encourage you to get on there and look at it, because it kind of was a little laggy here, a little draggy, but that is the coolest video. Congratulations to you and your team, Brooke.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty
Hey,
impactful.
Brooke, if you don't mind, would you email me your video? That way we can get it out to the club and let everybody watch it. If their computer had some challenges or something, that way we can make sure everybody gets to see the full effect, because it's really well done. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
It is. And then I would say thank you, Brooke, for doing that. And then I would say, if you're a Facebook user or you're online and you see that video, share it, because I loved when I saw it and I thought, oh, that's great. But then I shared it because, you know, I'm a new to Casper gal. I've been here for 4 years. And I'm hoping all my Texas friends will see that, and that they'll decide that when the time is right, they're going to come to Casper. I've already got my friends and family. We're planning a get together, Brooke. And I already said it needs to be in Wyoming. So there you go. I was on the bandwagon before I knew that was the bandwagon to be on.
Very good.
I know that some of you do have some questions. I saw one pop up over here to me privately. You can put them out there for all the world to see, or you can send it to me privately. So here is one question. I don't even need my glasses. I know you mentioned briefly CNFR. Apparently, I think what I heard you say is we didn't lose that. It's been postponed, I guess maybe to another year or whatever. But somebody asked a question: is there an opportunity to get the right people in a room and put on the CNFR? It'll mean a lot to Casper. And then of course they said they would remind everybody that other cities are really vying hard. They want to steal CNFR from us, right? But can you visit about that a little bit?
Yeah, so NYRA actually was the one, they're hesitant on CNFR this year specifically. So they've had a lot of college rodeo that leads up to CNFR has been canceled just because of COVID. So they didn't really feel from a financial perspective and a participant perspective that this would be the right year. I can tell you they've asked us about potentially doing a special on ESPN this year, where we would showcase maybe the past 20 years and showcase Casper as a destination. Yes, if any of you know Roger Walters, and I hope I don't speak out of turn when I say this, he tells me every time I see him that he takes 5 or 6 phone calls every week about moving that event to a different place. He also then tells me in the same breath he's very happy in Casper and would like to stay. So for any of you who follow city or county politics, you'll know that contract renewal was on consent for both of us last week. NYRA did decide to pull it and make a few amendments, but we're very hopeful we have an announcement in short order about continuing CNFR in Casper. So I hope I said as much as I can say, Lisa, as elegantly as I can say it.
I think that you did. Yes, thank you for that. That's great. That's great news without giving away too much, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, kind of early in your presentation, that this whole drive time vacations since the airline situation and people, the drive-down vacations are what we're looking for. And I know that we're a drive-through as people are going to Yellowstone. Do you think that will mean, you think there'll be more drive-through? And what can we do as Casper? I think we're already doing a great job because you gave those numbers for last year. Man, we hit it out of the park. But what can we do to help Visit Casper? Because it helps all of us to get people to stop.
So we're not a heavy flight market anyway. I mean, we have obviously people fly in and out, and it is for business. But even when we host conventions here, I wouldn't say a huge percentage are 90% or higher in air. So I think we will see stable or an increase in drive market. The interesting part for us that we're watching, and we feel a real sense of responsibility around this. What we have heard is when Yellowstone reopens, it will probably be at a reduced capacity. So maybe historically, if they have 2,500 rooms in the park, that won't be the case. And we don't want to do anything that's irresponsible to our partners, to where we're trying to bring traffic through and they don't have anywhere to put the visitors or their infrastructure is not set up. So it's going to be kind of walking that line as the parks start to reopen and realizing what that means for all of us. So I think it's going to be sensitive. So I am hopeful that we do see an increase in drive, because that's where it is going to come from if it comes. And then also, again, those meetings and conventions happening later this year that were very gracious and moved it, but they didn't cancel it.
Yeah, that was really great. So I'm looking over here at the chat. I don't see that I see any other questions. Did anybody else have a question for Brooke? I do see a lot of comments of great presentation, Brooke. Great information. Yeah.
You guys are always great. And it's fun. I just want to end really, Lisa, by saying tourism is a good news industry in Natrona. And it's what you can do, and you asked me this to end with that, is every time we go out in surveys, whether it's national or whether it's right here at home, what we hear consistently is we have the friendliest community people have ever been to. I mean, you can read all the testimonials from the 2017 eclipse and know that we crushed it because of who we are and the way we treat other people. So if you want to know how we're going to get people to come through here and talk about us in a good way and come back, it's how we treat them when we're here. So I think that's a responsibility that's on all of us, and anything you can do in that regard is going to be really appreciated.
Fantastic. And you did mention earlier about CTAs, and so I'm really proud that my staff are CTA certified. But for any of you Rotarians that have a business, or maybe even just you as an individual, I would get with Brooke and Visit Casper and pursue the CTA certification. It is a great way it really kind of helps you learn how to engage with those people as they're coming through with the tourists and kind of leave a good taste in their mouth, and that y'all come back now kind of a feeling. So very good. I think that's all the questions we have.
Okay.
Brooke, thank you. Appreciate that very much. And I mentioned the bouldering park a little bit earlier. We consider you guys to be one of our partners on that. So thanks for that and for pushing that as we get that further along as well. Lisa, what do we have in store for next week?
All right. So next week we're going to hear from one of our own, Leah Reed Varela. She is at Loom Studios. Some of you may remember the former name. It was Hinge. They are marketing and PR and work with businesses. They are actually working with our club. So she's going to share with us what they're doing to help our club. And then she's going to share what her business is doing to help local businesses here in Casper. She's a great speaker. Look forward to hearing from her.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And I guess a quick reminder, Brooke, if you don't mind, if you're still on the phone, if you could send me the video and then also send me the backgrounds that you guys have done for Zoom. We'd be happy to get those out to our membership as well, because a lot of our members are on Zoom calls quite a bit. So we'd like to get that out and share those. Jim Porter, I got your message here. We'll make sure we get you Brooke's contact information over there at Visit Casper as well. So with that, I do want to say a big special thank you to our visitors and especially our exchange students, Mitch and Fran and Claudia and Chloe. It was really great seeing you guys. Julie, thanks again for joining us from Chicago. Really appreciate that. Alicia, I know from St. Martin, it's great to have you as well. And Carissa DeGrave, thanks for joining us for this meeting. Hope to see everybody again next week. It'll be a busy week, but we look forward to having another good meeting next week. And everybody have a safe week. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Great to see you all.
Bye, thank you.